Live. And now we are live. Yay! Finally, after much technical difficulty. Okay, so hi, I'm Yvette Dubel, and this is my new friend, Jared. Jared, introduce
Hello.
yourself.
Hello, I'm her new friend, Jared. I am a DU graduate student from California. Went to the Sustainable Agriculture Conference 2 weekends ago. Yes, 2 weekends ago. And that's where I met Yvette.
Yay! The reason that I asked you to do this was I wanted to find out a little bit more about like what led you to go to the Sustainable Agricultural Conference, since neither of us are farmers. So what made you decide to go?
So I decided to go because I'm interested in agriculture. I am studying global health right now at Duke. I have a background in food science. I have experience starting a urban community farm garden in Oakland, California. So I'm always interested in food justice issues and sustainability issues, and I wanted to understand the different organizations and different actors that are currently doing good work in North Carolina. So that's where I went. And plus, also Michael Twitty, he's a bad man, so I just wanted to listen to him speak and also volunteer to get some free food.
Yes, that was fun, wasn't it? Now you mentioned like the social justice aspects of food, food sustainability, food systems. Tell me a little bit about how you came to that.
Yeah, I think growing up in the Bay Area, you're fortunately exposed to a lot of different things. Whether you agree with it or not, you're constantly exposed. And so I think just growing up, understanding about kind of food deserts, food access, seeing, corner stores that don't sell like produce, but seeing like Whole Foods in like really rich areas. And then kind of just organizing the community garden in Oakland. You kind of just get to talk to people, understand the situation. I lived in a community where it was considered a food desert. So I think just being exposed to all these different issues led me to learn a little more about the situation and get excited and interested in making sure that we all have healthy, affordable food.
Right.
That's it. Yeah.
Well, that's pretty substantial, though.
Yeah.
That's so interesting that you mentioned that you came from a food desert. Like I wouldn't have. Yeah, but I guess that is a real problem in like a lot of urban areas. What did you take away? What was the biggest thing that you feel like you took, the biggest takeaway from the conference?
The biggest thing that I took away from the conference, you said? I think I didn't think there was a lot of people there. A lot of exhibitors, a lot of just people that wanted to attend the conference. And so I think the biggest thing I took away was just how much presence there is in this movement. How many people are interested and involved in reshaping how the food system looks like here. And everything from like the really technical to like some more technical like aquaponics to more like political avenues to like more community organizing, just everything. So it was really cool to see. Yeah.
I felt the same way. Like I think I told you when we were talking at the registration table that I felt that it almost restored my faith, in humanity in a big way. Not that I'm not cynical anymore, but to see so many people interested, working, doing what they could do, applying what they know, and to see people talking about things like aquaponics, because I remember trying to, doing proposals and trying to propose aquaponics and permaculture as part of community projects back in 2006, 2007. And I think that it just wasn't regarded as being a dire enough situation to have to think that way. Like, I think that people still thought it was sort of a necessary effort. They couldn't see, fast forward. And I think more and more people are getting to understand how important it is that we start looking at efficiency with regards to our resources to, for food security related issues. And then when you add not just the sustainability in terms of resources, but organic farming in particular, seeing so many people in this area that were interested and committed in promoting and practicing organic farming was really, really encouraging. And to see like so many young people, like that was really, was that a surprise to you?
Yeah, I guess so. Maybe not actually. I think, I mean, there's a lot of universities around here. So it's good to see kind of like NC State out, or even Duke and UNC. And I think there's just a lot of like, I think young farmers, I know there's like the Young Farmers Coalition group or something. So I think they were trying to spearhead a lot of organizing events. And yeah, I thought it was really cool. Did you go to the conference last year?
I did not. This was my first time. I had never even heard of this before. Okay. I went largely because I had heard that Michael Twitty was going to be there speaking. And then the other thing was I became a member of Carolina Stewardship Farm Association because of Roland's letter in the newsletter. I was just like very emotionally affected, I guess, not just emotionally, but it did kind of like hit some emotional touch points for me that made me become a member. Also I wanted to add that I saw North Carolina A&T there, and I was really glad to see like a historically Black college. One of my best friends is, that's her alma mater. I'm going to post this on Twitter. I forgot to tweet this out when we started. So just if I'm not making proper eye contact, that's what I'm doing. But that was one of the things. And then looking at the range of products, like one of the things that had stuck with me, and I hope I hear back from them, was there was a company that does feed supplements for livestock made from seaweed. That was one of their products that they were showing. And that really was quite, let's see, join me in here. Sorry. With our, let's see, I was trying to remember the hashtag, but that was really something that I hadn't really, it wasn't really on my radar, like how we needed to be looking at, I knew about the issue of the amount of resources that are used for livestock, but I had not really paid attention to what kind of products were coming out to like deal with that. And so that was really something that was kind of interesting to me. And so I'm hoping to like talk to more of the people that were actually exhibiting there, because I think that's kind of important. And then, these kinds of experiences about like what it did for people to attend. Was this your first time?
This is my first time. Yeah. I wish I knew about it last year.
Yeah, me too. Do you think you'd come back next year?
If someone like buys my plane ticket.
So if we find a way to get you back from California, you'll come.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, no, I had a great time.
You did you make a lot of new contacts or anywhere? Was that part of your reason even for going? Were you going there to network or?
No, I'm really bad at the networking thing. I was just there to learn and like see what happens. I had no clue really how big the scene was here, so I just wanted to see what the conference was about, and I was interested in some of the workshops, interested in Michael Twitty. I actually never heard about Michael Twitty before, but I went to his website, and man, I was like, dang, I have to go to this. So
well, there's another point we'll have to have a conversation, because what Michael Twitty is doing with one of the things I talked to him about was I felt that he had really done an excellent job of articulating this kind of intellectual tradition and a way to make it accessible through food. And part of my work has been that I think this exists within every culture, that there's a wisdom tradition, and trying to articulate how is it made accessible to everybody within and outside of the culture. And I think one of the things he's hit is that it's food. Do you find that that's true? Like when you look at your own like sort of cultural inheritance, do you see that sort of intellectual wisdom of your culture being passed down in like the culinary traditions?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that really hits home to me too. I think there's an emotional kind of connection when I think about Chinese food. I think what Michael Twitty, he referred to it something like culinary justice.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really, I've never heard that phrase before. So I was trying to understand what that meant. And I think it's really cool to think about that. Because I think about, I think about Chinese American food, and I think about Chinese food because I lived in China for a few years. And I think people try to compare them like, oh, this one's more authentic than this one. But it's kind of just, they're two separate genres of food. And if you kind of think about that like that way, you shouldn't really compare them. At the same time, there's like, have you heard of, I forgot who the chef was, but he's like this white guy who opened up a really fancy Mexican restaurant in Chicago. Rick Bayless?
Bayless, yes. I was trying to think of his name. I was going to say the guy with the mustache.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know there's a lot of controversy surrounding that because out of his privilege, he was able to kind of open up like a fine dining restaurant and charge a lot of money for Mexican food. But if a Mexican person was trying to open up the same restaurant, maybe he or she wouldn't have the same success. So there's that kind of like dialogue that I remember that was going on. So I think it's all kind of related to what Michael Twitty was talking about in a sense of kind of reclaiming or at least appreciating and understanding and acknowledging where the food comes from, where these traditions have passed down from, and not exploiting that situation for people that profit off of it.
Have you seen that documentary, The Search for General Tao?
I've heard about that. Yeah.
And when they find him, he won't eat it.
That's funny. Yeah, I still don't know what General Tao chicken is.
What's the difference you see? I'm sorry. Continue. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no. I love talking about Chinese food, so keep asking me about Chinese food.
Oh, okay. Well, I was going to say, like, what is the difference between like Chinese? Because I do think that Chinese American culture is Chinese American culture. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I would think that it would be different from someone who is in Chinese and knows Chinese culture like exclusively. So, what is the difference like in terms of like the culinary aspect?
Yeah, I think Chinese American food, it's a lot more deep fried. So the pieces of meat are battered heavily, deep fried, and then they have a lot of sauce, which is usually very sweet. And in Chinese food, food in China, they actually have kung pao chicken. I've seen sweet and sour chicken before too, but it's not to the extent of American Chinese food. There's less just pieces of like meat chunks in the stir fried dishes. There's more vegetables. There's more nuts. There's more flavor. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I feel like in Chinese American food, it's just more heavy. So more battered, more saucy. It's just different. It's different.
So like with like a lo mein, because you're not talking about the dishes I like. Like I love a lo mein.
Okay.
What would be the difference with the lo mein, like the ones that we would get and the ones that you would get in China?
Okay, sure. I actually haven't had a lot of stir-fried noodle dishes in China. They definitely exist. They definitely exist. But the noodles that I ate primarily in China were mostly in soup. But stir-fried dishes I did have, because it's very prevalent. I guess, what would be the difference? I don't think they were as, they didn't have as much stuff in it. I think the lo mein in Chinese American food, there's just a bunch of like stuff like celery or, I don't know. I don't remember the last time I had lo mein.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know. I mean,
I'm usually very picky about mine, and I'm specific about things that I don't want in it when I get it. So anyway.
Yeah.
Because I don't like broccoli, so I don't want any broccoli.
Yeah.
So would they? When you are the noodles better? Are the noodles different because I don't know how many Chinese restaurants here actually are making their own noodles. But Chinese friends that I have known, I mean, and there is a difference. I have had soups with like homemade noodles, and it is very different. It does. I can't describe what the difference is. Well, part of it's texture, I think. But anyway, what would you say about that? Like, what do you think is different about the whole tradition of fresh homemade noodles versus what we are probably accustomed to, like with, I don't know, like ramen noodles or something?
Yeah. Um, yeah, fresh noodles are the best. It's just hard to make, by hand. So there's a lot of just like random noodle shacks in China or in Beijing where I was, where they make the noodles by hand. I'm sure you've seen that, kind of the hand pulled noodles. They also have like the dao xiao mian, which is like using a knife to like scrape noodle strands. So yeah, the texture is the biggest thing, because you have kind of that toothiness, that bite to it, that you don't get with other types of noodles.
They're a little mushy. I think that when you get the dried packaged noodles, they tend to go a little mushy, would you say?
Yeah. However, I've seen, actually, I think there's like breakthrough technology in the noodle industry, because I went to. Have you been to Li Ming in Durham? It's like a
I have
Asian
not.
grocery store, but they
No.
sell these refrigerated noodles. So they're partially dried, but they're sold refrigerated because they're not completely dried. And
Oh.
those are actually pretty good. So I'm sure, there's different restaurants around here that are using pretty good quality noodles. You can mimic it almost to be the same as fresh noodles, but not quite.
Oh. Wow, I had no, see, that's something I didn't realize you were so into, like the culinary piece. So you
Oh
cook.
man, I love Chinese food. Oh yeah, all the time.
Really? Now, do you feel that
Yeah.
that's more of like in terms of the culinary tradition? And I think that a lot of us come from culinary traditions that really value fresh food, where people would grow the ingredients that are the most common in dishes. Is that true, the way you grew up?
Yeah. So when I was growing up, from when I was little, ever since when I left for college, every Friday night, my grandma would go to Chinatown in the morning. She would purchase all these different fresh foods, and then she would make a dinner for all of us, and we would all come over on Friday night. So me, my cousins, my sister, uncle, aunts, there'd be about 10 of us every Friday night. This is like our church every Friday night, and she would make a homemade Chinese dinner for us. It started off with soup, and then we had our rice, vegetable, meat, um, and we would watch Jeopardy while we ate dinner. And then my uncle would rent a movie, or we would watch TGIF afterwards. So not only was like
Oh,
the food kind of tradition and culture established, but also just like the community aspect of it. So bringing people together around food, especially homemade food. My grandma spent the whole day cooking it. Um,
right.
and this was every Friday. This was like until I was 16, 17. So
Wow. So that
yeah.
must be part of, hold on. That's my dog's barking. Sorry.
Figured it wasn't a cat.
No, that's not that. No, my cat does growl though. Um, so is that part of what you meant that you miss, like, when you were saying you missed your people?
Yeah. My grandma's older now, so she doesn't cook as much. It's just
Right.
hard for her to do that. Um, I don't know. I mean, I think I cook Chinese food to kind of remember that, but also to remember my times where I spent in China, because I come from a Cantonese tradition. So even in
Okay.
China, there's just a bunch of different regional dishes and culture. So I come from a Cantonese tradition.
Okay.
But when I was in China, I was in northern China, and the foods that they eat is like spicy. Um, there's more spices involved. It's heavier. There's more like noodles instead of rice. There's different types of meats, different types of seasoning, different preparation styles. So in order to kind of remember that, I also kind of cook dishes from northern China, because it's actually hard to find those flavors in America or in the States.
Oh, okay. We'll have to like switch. You'll have to like share recipes with me later. I'll like email you about that.
Yeah, sure.
Wow. Okay. So, in looking like what with what you're studying now with global health, how do you see that playing into your interest in culinary justice and remedying the food desert situations?
Yeah. So the global health program here at Duke kind of focuses on inequality in health.
Hmm.
So whether that means globally or locally, I think having a heart for more marginalized communities is crucial to what I want to do. So how that plays out, I used to work for a big company, um, for-profit company, grocery store company,
Yeah, I looked at your
and
LinkedIn page.
okay, yeah, and so that's why I left because didn't want to. I didn't want to be a part of that system anymore. Not that it's like,
Was that a hard thing for you to leave, like the security of a job, particularly a corporate job? Did you feel that there was security in having a corporate job?
I think it was getting harder and harder as I worked there longer and longer. So I think there were people there that worked there for 30 years, and when you start to have a family and you have bills to pay and you need health insurance, it's like you need those benefits, you need that stability. So I just had to do it. I had to make the move. I had to pull the plug, or else like it would have been harder and harder to pull it.
Okay. All right. That's fair. That's very practical of you. So what do you think is next for you? So you're going back out to Oakland.
Right.
What will you do when you get there besides go hug your grandma
And eat Chinese food.
and eat Chinese food?
I'm actually really interested in business still. So even though the company was a for-profit company, I think there's really cool businesses that are for-profit but have a social mission to either helping to alleviate poverty or fighting in the fight for food justice. So I'm interested in food companies that have that sort of social mission. Um, so I'm not sure exactly what companies those are, but want to be in that general ballpark.
Okay, well, hashtag when I post this on Twitter next time after we stop recording, I'll hashtag business for good. Okay, and we'll see.
Okay. Yeah.
Because I know that's
Important.
a fairly, yeah, business for good is like a popular hashtag, I think. So we'll see what kind of
Okay.
businesses turn up under that, and maybe we'll
Especially food businesses, though.
well, I think that I'll have do something related to like food sustainability or food security or something. I like look into that. I'll think about the hashtags before I do it, and I'll post it more than one time, and we'll try and we'll see what happens.
I'm also interested in I have a background in commercialization.
Okay.
So I love whole gardening and stuff, and but I also shop at a grocery store, and I like my Kind bar too. So I think you have to. It's good to have both, but that's where my technical, I guess, specialty and experience lies in commercialization. So hopefully, involved in a food company that is commercializing some sort of healthy food, and then also helping in the food justice scene. That's what I'm interested in.
And in your spare time, you will be opening our eyes to what good Chinese food should taste like.
Oh man, yeah. So my dream, actually, or not my dream, but I have another kind of vision to, that show Good Eats with Alton Brown on the Food Network.
I do.
So I hope to do that with Chinese food. So talk about the food science of Chinese food.
You should start that as a web series, dude. You could totally do that.
Yeah, I know. Talk about just the chemical reactions in Peking duck or something.
You could do that with the combination of your Instagram and doing a web series. You could do a series in still photos using Instagram. That would be kind of cool.
Yeah.
I'd totally follow that. If you did it, I would follow that.
All right, I'll hit you up when I start to roll that out. You can blow it up.
That would be really cool. I think that sounds really interesting because I don't think they do that show anymore either. I think that show isn't that over?
I think so, yeah. And plus, yeah, I love food science. I love like the chemical reactions in food, and I love Chinese food. So why not do all three together?
Now, I don't know why, but when I think of your background in food science, I kept thinking about you formulating ice cream. Did you tell me you worked on ice cream, or did I just imagine that?
I did. So that's what I did for the
Okay.
large food company I worked for.
Okay. I was like
Yeah.
thinking about, when they, I don't know if you remember this, but I don't even know how long ago it was. A while back when there was the big craze of taking fat out of foods, and they had
Uh-huh.
come up with like a fat-free snacks. I think it might have been potato chips, and and I think there was a fat-free ice cream also. And I don't know if it was the same company, but one of the side effects was, this is so gross, anal leakage.
Oh yeah.
Do you
No, that's
remember that?
actually yeah, that's with the potato chip. It wasn't ice
Okay,
cream,
that
it
was
was
the
with
potato
potato
chip.
chips.
And so I was thinking like you taking things out and trying to keep the texture the same. Is that when you
I
said you worked
mean,
on
that's
ice
not what
cream?
I specifically.
Okay,
I know
that's not
people
what
that
you
did
did.
work on that though. So there are like gum and stabilizing companies, and they focus their specific task is to formulate a gum blend that can
Right.
like be cheaper or have some sort of chemical properties for the ice cream. So we would work with those companies.
So did you get to taste a lot of ice cream?
Oh, every day, yeah. Too
Do
much
you
ice
still
cream.
like ice cream?
I do, yeah. You can't
Oh,
ever get tired of ice cream.
oh,
Um,
okay. Well, there's
but
nothing
now I'm
like when you've had
lactose.
homemade ice cream, though. When you've had homemade ice cream, there's like nothing like it.
Homemade ice cream is really good, yeah. Especially fresh, like even before you freeze it, like when it's still kind of like not gooey, but it has like really soft consistency. It's good. Yeah.
It is. Yeah, I think I tried making it with a sugar substitute. I want to say, was it agar? No, it's not agar. Agar is the thickener. I can't think of what
Agave?
it's. Agave, that was it. And
Yeah.
it made it too sweet. I should have used less. I used half of the amount of sugar you would use, but for anybody practicing, you'd want to cut that back a little more. And it also made it not creamier, but maybe it was creamier. I don't know. Maybe it's almost stringier. I don't think that that's really not quite stringy, but something in that realm. It changed the texture a little bit and it made it a little too sweet. So
Okay.
that's my experience with like formulating ice cream recipes.
I don't know. It's a science, definitely. There's a lot of components to it, and I eat
Really?
ice cream every day. Yeah.
Oh, okay. How often do you eat ice cream now that you're not actually working on ice cream?
Not very often, sadly enough. I think I also got lactose intolerant.
Really?
I think as because I ate ice cream every day, um,
Yeah.
I wasn't as lactose. My body was used
Interesting.
to it. I had more lactase in me to digest the lactose. But now that I kind of had like a breakup from ice cream and
Right.
went like months without eating ice cream, like my body can't recuperate anymore. Um,
Oh, well, I
so
guess there's worse
maybe what I
things.
have to do, I just have to start eating ice cream every day. That's what I have to do.
I'm sure there's some companies that would love that. You'd be their favorite person. Okay, well, I told you that we would do this about 20, 30 minutes. I think we've about run out of time. So this has been really, I'm so glad we got to like reconnect again and talk a little bit about our SAC experience, because I really enjoyed meeting you and Seth, who I hope to do one of these with very soon. Seth was an aspiring farmer. Um, and I think that I probably talked to you guys longer than I talked to anybody else, which was why I reached out to you first.
Yeah, no, it was really fun talking with you. It was really refreshing, and I didn't do anything during the volunteer time, but it was great because I got to talk with you and meet you.
Yeah. Well, it was slow. I mean, there wasn't a lot to pack up. So it wasn't that you were just like, not doing your responsibilities. There was just not
Right,
much to be done. So let's not.
right.
You were totally there, willing, ready to like lift and move things. but it was basically packing up some papers. It wasn't really a lot of work. But it was a lot of fun. I'm so glad I get to meet so many like really cool people doing and thinking about really cool things. And it was inspirational to me. So I feel very inspired, and I look forward to seeing what wonderfulness you're going to, what you're going to do to like serve us all and help improve our food situation. And I think that whoever gets you, whatever company you decide to join or business or enterprise, will be very, very lucky to have you. And I expect you to keep me posted and let me know what's going on.
I will. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, we'll keep in touch for sure.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you, everybody who eventually watches this. And thank you, Jared. I appreciate you doing it.
All right. Thanks, Yvette.
Have a great day. I'll talk to you soon.
All right.
All right. Bye.